So my name's Paul Bowen. I'm here with Mika, Rahko.
Very well done.
So I work at Unity on the ads and analytics team. I've been in the advertising industry for the last 15, 16 years, and working within the mobile gaming industry for the last 7 years. And so we're going to have a bit of a conversation about what it takes to be successful if you're a small studio in the mobile gaming space. And hopefully, you're bigger than small, but
we used to be small.
You're an efficient studio, I guess we could call you. So, Mika, tell me about Futureplay. Tell me why you exist, and what what you guys are doing.
Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me. Futureplay, we founded Futureplay 2015 in April with 5 guys, so 4 other co-founders. And we had a lot of experience already from various gaming companies in Finland.
Tell us about this.
So yeah, I used to work at Rovio for 5 years. I started there in the beginning of 2010, right after Angry Birds was launched. But nobody knew it was going to be big yet. I didn't know about the game when I went to interview. And then it exploded, and I was employee number 13, and it grew to 850, and that was a crazy ride. And then I met a few other guys during that time as well that are now co-founders. So we have a bunch of people from Rovio. Then we have one guy that used to head the Alan Wake game and Quantum Break game at Remedy. And then one guy from consultancy background, really good software developer. So we just came together in the beginning of 2015 with the idea of monetizing through ads mostly. That was kind of the premise of the company that we saw in our previous companies and our previous workplaces, that the shift from premium to free to play. And then saw the first rewarded video placements inside games, and saw the potential in there, so that you're not only monetizing 1 or 2% of the players, you're actually monetizing 80 or 90% of the player base through ads. But yeah, so 5 guys in the beginning of 2015, and our idea was also that we do games, small games, really quickly, and the first game actually came out already 5 months after we set up the company. Yeah.
So when you launch, if you do a Google search on Futureplay, when you launched the company, you were actually pretty vocal about using ads as a monetization technique, and I think most game developers, even in the App Store today, prefer not to have ads in their games if they can absolutely avoid it, and it's often the very last thing that they do. I wonder whether the point of view that you took when you founded the company was the right one, whether you're doing anything differently. Yeah. Yeah,
so it definitely was the right one, and we're really happy with that decision. It has enabled us to do great things, really. First of all, our kind of principle in integrating the ads into the game is different from what we saw other people were doing. Because very often developers, they just integrate the ads as an afterthought. You have the game ready, and then someone says, a product manager comes up and, guys, I think you need to monetize with ads as well. Oh my God, how are we going to do that? And then just let's put it here as a placement. So we already think in the very beginning of when we were concepting and designing the game, that what would be great placements to have the ads in, and they need to be in the game world, and something additive, something positive. So for example, in FarmAway, in our first game, it's a farming idle swiper game, and you can control the weather by watching ads. So there's a rain cloud and a sun inside the game world, and you can interact with them, and it tells you that by watching a short ad, you will have rain on your farm for 4 hours, and of course the crops like that, and all the profits are doubled. So stuff like that, and like what many games still do is that it's like you fail at a level or you run out of lives, and then they give you the ad as a lifeline, where the player is already in a negative state of mind, like, oh my god, I failed. I guess I need to watch an ad. So it doesn't really work for the player, but it also doesn't work for the advertiser, because no one wants their product or their game to be viewed by someone who is just like, I'm forced to watch this. So yeah, we're very happy with the route that we took, and of course a lot of it was also based on the premise that when are the brands coming to mobile? When are they starting to advertise? Really, it's getting there slowly, but still it's mostly other games, advertising other games. But the ad quality has also improved a lot. Like many of them are actually interesting to watch, and so yeah, very happy with that. I guess to answer the second part of your question, what has changed since, it was kind of like a positive problem, because in the beginning we thought that we need to launch very small games and very rapidly, because we thought that the shelf life of this type of a game, it's not going to be that long, and we thought that, okay, we need to launch at least 2 games per year per team. And we still believe in our mantra, which is multiple games per year, not multiple years per game. But we've now taken much more time for each game, because what we noticed was that we are able to do user acquisition on this type of games, and we did not know that going in.
What allowed you to? What was it that allowed you to acquire users? Was that only the user acquisition, or was the retention much better than you thought it was going to be? So
yes, we were surprised how good the retention was. Obviously, you never really know. You're just trying to make the most fun and most engaging and best game you can make, and then you put it out there, and then you see what the harsh reality might be. But yeah, so it surprised us how good of the retention numbers were, and how well the ads monetized, and what really enabled us to do it was also just integrating Unity ads through Unity, and then what many people don't think about is that even if you have a very good free-to-play game and you might make a lot of money in the beginning, and then you're okay, we need to start spending. But if it's mostly relying on in-app purchases, it's going to be 90 days until you have that money and you can start investing into user acquisition. But that's not the case with ad networks. You make money with Unity ads, and then you just switch, take that money to the other account where you spend that on user acquisition. So we're circulating that money that we make on the ad network, and by buying users as well. Mm-hmm.
Very cool. And then is your sort of view on ads still that they're your predominant way of? So I asked you whether you regretted it. You said no. Has your thinking evolved any further from that, or are you still, we're going to be ads and?
Yeah, it has evolved. So we then realized also that because it's a fine line where you push ads too much, and then the players will feel bad about them.
Do you get complaints? Or?
No, actually, interesting anecdote, I guess. But the most common cause for bad reviews for us is that people say that they don't have enough ads.
Nice.
Which is kind of counterintuitive when you think about it. But so if you push too much the ad side, it starts to hurt the player experience, though. So we do want to cap that per placement. We're not giving you unlimited amount of ads to watch, because otherwise you're not really playing the game anymore. You're just watching ads. So what we found out then that we kind of found the sweet spot already on how many ads per daily active user we're showing, how much they're watching, and we didn't want to push it more. And in order to improve the lifetime value of a player, we then started to innovate more on the in-app purchase side. So bringing out new features that support them, and also then offer systems where we can offer different purchase bundles. We still wanted to be very friendly with that because like we are ads first company and like our price points are quite low on the purchase side, and like we try to give a lot more than many other games out there with each purchase. But yeah, we have like now like relied much more on purchase side as well, while keeping the ad side as it is.
And you guys didn't have I mean, you said you worked on sort of Transformers and Angry Birds Go, but you didn't have a long history in in-app purchase sort of optimization. I wonder what you guys have learned, you know, since you've been focusing on that. Yeah,
so we've learned that like timed offers work really well, and of course also that it matters a lot in which place in the game you do the offer, and in what way, how do you communicate that, and so on. But timed offers certainly is something that has worked very well for us. So there's actually in FarmAway it's like it's a panda that gives you this. Here's an offer, and then there's a timer like 2 hours or whatever that until it expires. And then the other thing is just doing like timed offers on all of the purchase items. Like we have a support in the game where we can read a config file, and then the config file can say that this purchase package is now on sale, and then the game interprets that and shows like a sale badge on that specific item inside the game. And actually, we're working together with Unity, you guys as well, on a promo tool that is now in beta to like continue experimenting with that kind of offers.
So as a small studio, I guess you don't want to build everything yourself, and so you're working with us on our IAP promo beta. What other tools have enabled you to sort of scale your business, I guess, over the last couple of years?
Well, Unity being the main one, actually. Like when we set out to do FarmAway, only one of us had used Unity before, and we were still able to launch the game in 5 months. So yeah, definitely like just the engine itself. But then like since we are monetizing with ads, we also obviously we have a lot of plugins that we need to integrate into the game, and I'm always relieved when I see that, hey, this plugin is now actually integrated into Unity as a feature, and I can just get rid of that third-party plugin, like we did with in-app purchases. So we're using that plugin from Unity, and we just recently switched now from Flurry to using Unity Analytics as our backup analytics system as well.
Cool, very cool. And so I wonder, you sort of said like what sort of games you wanted to sort of build. I wonder, like, what's your ethos on sort of how you run the company, in terms of how you empower the people there? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so since we worked in big companies before, and we saw what kind of challenges it can bring to the teams and stress, so on, if there's a lot of hierarchy between whoever is like deciding what games to make and making decisions about it, and then the team like multiple layers down. So when we set out with Futureplay, we decided like that we want to keep it as flat as possible, and we actually have only one rule inside the whole company. It's no bullshit.
What do you do if you break that rule?
We don't know yet. No one has broken it. We'll figure it out once that happens. So we're very flat. We don't even have any titles at all. Only Jamila, as our CEO, has a title because it's required by law. The teams are very independent, and they have full ownership of the game that they make. But even within that team, there's no lead. So everyone together decides on like what features to make, or even like what game to make. We now have 3 separate teams, and 2 of the teams, they have both a live game, like FarmAway and BuildAway, but then they're also working on a new game that we're going to soft launch during this year still. And even between like choosing which one to work on, the team only decides that. And to enable that, of course, it also means that we need to be very, and we want to be very transparent with all the numbers that we have related to like how the games are doing as a in business sense. And of course, it then has required also that we like give people tools of understanding those metrics, because there's a lot of developers that like just want to make games and like that's the business side. I don't want to understand what those numbers mean.
What does that mean? An Excel spreadsheet or?
We're using a tool called Looker to visualize our dashboard.
Your KPIs.
Yeah, KPIs.
Okay, so that's a good question. So what does success look like for each of your teams on a monthly, daily, monthly, yearly basis?
Well, if we're making profit, then that's successful. Yeah, and actually this hasn't been said out loud or publicly yet, but we actually turned profit on our first full year, which was previous year, and it was great to be able to do that as a new startup, and we're already now like 20 people, and yeah, so making profit, I guess, is one of the key factors. What I was going to say about the metrics and like giving the team members means of understanding them, at least it worked for me. I like to think about the numbers as like a kind of meta game of game development, and then you optimize the games as a business. And I often make this reference to like RPGs, which I'm a huge fan. So you can think about the different stats with like RPG references, like crit hit chance is a conversion, crit hit damage is average revenue per paying user, and so on. And so you can actually talk about with the games as a business using something that the developers might feel like, I get it, like that's how I optimized my gear on Diablo 3 or whatever.
Do you find that works?
Yeah.
It does? Yeah. Good. So you mentioned sort of that you became profitable. You raised money last year. I wonder why did you do that? What was the reason for sort of, if you're profitable, what?
Yeah, so good question. What we do want to do still is to scale. So like I mentioned, we have 3 teams now, but we're still looking to grow from 20 people maybe to about 30. So just enabling us to have even more teams and like do bigger games as well. We don't want to do idle swipers forever either, and we're already like prototyping with different kind of game mechanics. So it just enables us to grow.
And so I wonder what's in store for Futureplay in the future. Who do you aspire to be? What games do you look at that you think, they're the games that we want to build? They're the games we can realistically build with reasonably small teams. And
I think Playrix is a good example. They did Gardenscapes and what is the other one?
Township.
Yes.
And Fishdom.
Yeah. They brought something new to the match 3 genre. Like everyone was copying King with the saga map and levels and so on, and they brought a game where you're building like a garden, and then that's the meta level, and then the core gameplay loop is playing a match 3 game. And I can't remember where I heard it from, but I heard that they actually switched that core mechanic from being a hidden object game to a match 3 at the very late in the development, and it has really worked well for them. And I think there's going to be a lot of games that try and imitate that kind of innovation in the match 3 genre. I guess other big trend that I see is what Supercell is doing, like going after esports on mobile, and it's already huge in PC space, and I do think it's going to be big on mobile as well. But who's going to break the formula how to do it? Who knows? But I saw that Supercell soft launched a new title, and they even did the kind of announcement for soft launch by hosting a studio where people are playing against another team on mobile devices, and it was some kind of a MOBA clone. I haven't tried it out yet, but I think those are good ones to watch, match 3 and then esports on mobile.
So you're building a match 3 game?
No comment. We're looking at that.
And
space,
so how do you get from here where you are today to there? What are the steps that you need to take to get there?
It's just going to take a lot of prototyping, of course. Like that's where every time starts off. You have discussions with the teams. You throw out ideas. You like something that the other person says, and you like brainstorm. Sometimes it happens in a pub. It can happen during the weekend over a phone call or whatever. That's where it usually starts, and then you together find something that you like, and then someone just pulls a quick prototype and like, yeah, this can work like that. And it's a very organic process, and it can vary a lot between different games. But that's why game development is so fun.
Do you end up canning many games, or do you just do you get far in the production, or you're just at prototyping and you?
Well, before we launched FarmAway, we killed one game after 2 weeks of prototyping. That's been the only one since. Let's hope that will be the case in the future as well. Let's hope that we don't have to kill. You never want to kill your own baby, but sometimes it happens. It's really, really tough to make games, and sometimes they don't do as well as you wish.
Well, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thanks.